This old guy DIY video has to go through with the troubleshooting I went through and the conclusions I drew when I was trying to spray a food plot and my sprayer wasn't spraying as it should. So at the end, it came down to this little straining filter that was all plugged up with goo. This is what the product that was left in the sprayer looks like. You can see that residual coagulated stuff on top. So the moral of the story, based on my findings, is when you're done with the sprayer, dump out whatever is left into a container to be used in a hand sprayer around the house, but leave the sprayer clean and dry. If you'd like to hear more of the story, please watch the rest of the video. Thank you. This old guy DIY video has to do with the latest iteration of my spray rig for food plots. So since I updated this carryall, I mounted the 14-gallon tank in there. I used this middle bucket holder and just ran a ratchet strap around, so that'll keep the thing from going left to right. And I have a little 2x4 brace there behind it. I moved my spray bar down and just screwed it into the floor of the carryall. Today I'm using the white snake spray technique. I'm going to put it down slow and easy. I'll be in low range, third gear. When I get down to the field, the weeds have come in so it looks like carpet now. It's been 8 days since I planted the beans, and the beans have come through the soil and they're looking really good. So now it's my job to put some of this Farm and Home Special 41% glyphosate on there, kill everything but the Roundup Ready beans, and hopefully have a good crop this year. When I went to spray, I found a problem with this little light switch that I had been using as my source of power. So I just took a piece of extension cord, put an alligator clip on one end, ran that to the positive. I came around the front of the tractor, ran this piece of wire over here, looped it there, just used a zip tie to hang it right here so I have power. When I want to turn on the sprayer, I just touch this to that wire and I'll have power. So that'll get me through the next hour while I spray this crop, and I'll worry about fixing it correctly in a little while. When I went to spray a few minutes ago, I just had a dribble coming out, not a nice spray. So I suspected the intake might have had some crap in it. So I came up here by the buildings and I pulled this line off, since this is the intake tube. Took the air compressor, I loosened the top up, I shot air in here, and then I put the line back on. When I put power to it, now it sprays the way it's supposed to. So I'll tighten up these fittings, tighten up the top, and head back to the field. It's been an hour since I intended to start this project, and now it's time to go back to work. After having this thing fail to spray on 3 occasions and having to run back up to the barn, I finally came up here. I drained all the poison out of this tank and just put fresh water in the tank. When I pulled the inlet off and blew air through it, I could see some residual crap that was down in there. And if you look in the tank, you can see that intake, and the intake has a little screen on it. So I just reached in there, I grabbed that screen. This is what the screen looks like. I just pulled it off, and it had probably 50% of it covered with stuff that looked like boogers or snot. I don't know exactly what the product was that made the obstruction, but once I blew that stuff out with an air compressor and put this little intake screen back on and then ran the sprayer, it went the way it's supposed to. So I suspect the root cause of my problem today was that this screen was plugged up after 10 years of using it and never cleaning the screen. But now I'll go back to work and see if that is the answer. Earlier today, while troubleshooting that sprayer, I put the poison into these 5-gallon pails. I don't know if you can see it, but there are a couple little spots here where the stuff is coagulated and you have a little goo pocket. And I suspect that's the boogery stuff that I picked up from the screen on the strainer that leads to that pump. So right now I'm just going to take a napkin, dip in here and get these contaminants out. Oh, you can see it better along the edge here. But I'm going to clean that stuff out of this mix before I return this mix to the sprayer. I think I'm frugal by nature, but after I had cleaned out this filter yesterday and I had those 2 5-gallon pails of poison left over from weeks ago. I had the sprayer nice and clean this morning, and I put the new cleaned out filter in there. I put that poison in there that had been pre-mixed, thinking I had done a good enough job getting the residual boogers and goo out of it. And before I even put 10 gallons on, I noticed that the spray wasn't going the way it should. I just emptied the remainder of that mix into a 5-gallon pail, and I pulled out this filter screen again. You can see all the residual crap on it, and that's after I blasted it with a garden hose. I'll take it and clean it out with some water and Dawn, try to get all this crap out of it. I'll mix a fresh batch of lye and go try again. After attempting to clean this thing up with water from the hose, compressed air, I found a little brass brush was the most effective way to get that residual goo off of this little strainer filter. Right now this thing just has fresh water and a new clean strainer in it. So I'll put the power to it and show you how it sprays when it's working as designed. You can see a nice heavy spray coming out there. If you look at the wetness on the rocks here, you can see I'm getting really nice coverage. And when that strainer was filled with crud, this was just dripping like something you saw in a health class video 30 years ago. I'm back at the house of a hot chick that I know working on a food plot today. It's been 10 days since I sprayed with Roundup. You can see this lush green area where I was having a problem with that strainer being plugged, so I really wasn't spraying anything. So I just made a new load of poison. I'll make a couple passes through here, and all this vegetation should join the rest of it and turn it into nothing but a bean field. And talking to the hot chick last night, she indicated that the deer are in here. They just start on one end of the field, they pick a row and just start eating and working their way through. So the hope was the guy with the property to the east, who has about 20 acres, would have planted, but for a myriad of reasons he hasn't put in anything yet. So the deer are over here hitting this stuff hard before he even gets his crop in. On this side we can see the effect of the Roundup, and I believe this taller stuff is mare's tail. And the local seed guy was telling me that mare's tail in this area is Roundup resistant. So it looks like it was hurt, but not killed. In the meantime, the small vegetation was hit pretty hard, and I'm hoping the beans will come up enough that they shade everything out, and I will have something of a crop here. As I walk along here, you can see something for bean rows. I just finished respraying the areas that I missed when I had a problem with that strainer. And based on what I see down there, this here I found the sweet spot. That's 6 ounces of this generic Roundup, spraying out of this Northern Tool sprayer with the tractor set in low range 4th gear. So the Roundup seems to have done its job. I went back and hit the areas that I had missed. Now it's just a matter of Mother Nature doing her thing and dropping some rain and sun on us. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day.